Are you paying to store this stuff too? Welcome to Tools to Create a Better Life with myself, Glenyce Hughes. Thank you so much for being here. I am so incredibly grateful for you. As many of you know, we are selling everything almost and heading off to house and pet sit around the world. We are so excited and also terrified and also excited and all the things. Now, there's been a question that I've been asking myself as I go through things that actually really inspired something totally different. So the question I've been asking, because what we're doing is anything we would like to keep, we're storing. So as I go through things, I'm asking myself, would I want to pay to store this? Like, because literally that's what we would be doing. So if I wanted to say, keep this coffee cup, then if I do, then I just ask myself, am I willing to pay to store it? So it's an easy question, not always an easy awareness of whether I am or not, but really doing a good job of really paring down a lot of stuff. Now, the awareness that I had with this was, that's a question we could actually be asking about the past, with events, with situations, with upsets with friends or family or work situation, like all that stuff. Because ultimately, let's say you had a fight with a friend a couple months ago. Are you willing to pay to store that? Meaning, you're going to pay in some way. So either you're going to pay with stress or upset or trauma in your life or whatever, you're going to pay somehow. So are you willing to pay to store it? No. Now I'm going to say that's the easy part. The hard part might be, okay, well, what's required? So it might mean that you go, actually, this friendship is really important to me, so I'm going to apologize to them. Could be that. I mean, it could be a million things, but if we start looking at the things that we're storing, I don't mean just physical things, although those are probably good to look at too. Now, I can say this from my high horse because I've been doing this now for what feels like months. I'm not sure I've actually been doing it that long, but I did do a good clean out a few months ago in preparation for listing the acreage and such. And so, you know, physical stuff, even if you're not paying for a storage container like we are, you're also paying to store it. And again, I don't mean everything, you should have nothing. That's not what I mean at all. It's really looking at, if you don't like that thing. So there's been a lot of things that I've come across that I think, what the heck, why do I even still have this? So I've been paying to store it just by having it, just by hanging on to it with whatever I've attached to it. So a lot of the stuff that I've really had to get present with myself about is stuff that has been given to me from other people. Yeah, because there's the value in it for me is, well, you know, my husband gave this to me. And even he's said a couple things with some of the things that I'm getting rid of, like, wow, you're getting rid of that gift I gave you? Yes. And finally, I actually had to say to him, like, you've got to stop that. One, we've been together 30 years. You've given me a lot of gifts. Like, I've got a lot of amazing stuff, like this necklace. It's something that I would not actually, I'm happy to pay to store. Now it's going to travel with me, but I would, if it wasn't going to, I would be happy to pay to store it because I love it. But there's been other things that just are different. They're just different. So a lot of ornaments and different things like that. And I'm keeping a lot too. There are a lot of things. And so it's just been this dance of, you know, really getting present with myself. And the other question with those sorts of things, kind of a little bit off of what I was talking about, but if you are ever in that struggle, if somebody has been maybe gifting you something and you are wondering if you would like to keep it, is I actually looked at, if this person didn't buy this for me, would I keep it? Yeah. And a lot of the stuff was a no. And so it doesn't mean I have to just give it away or throw it away or sell it. I could also look at other possibilities with that. So some of them, I did actually go back to the person who purchased it for me. And I just asked them, hey, you know, I love this so much. I don't want to store it. Would you like to have it? Would you like to keep it? Would you like to display it, or whatever it was? And a lot of the people said yes. They were happy to have it back. You know, they purchased it for me as a gift and they enjoyed it and they liked it. So yes, some people said, oh no, absolutely not, you know, just get rid of it. And so the vulnerability with that, like the willingness to tell people, hey, I'm not keeping this. And of course, in those situations, we do have to look at whatever their response is their response. So if you actually know that they would be very upset, you probably don't need to tell them. You probably don't need to ask if they would like it back. If they would take that as, you know, really unkind or mean of you, then, you know, don't do it. But otherwise, for the most part, I mean, look in your own life, if you've given some people gifts, if they asked you if you wanted to keep them, if they were no longer, you know, going to have a house or something, how would you be with that? For just, you know, I was actually surprised at the response. Now, I didn't do it with like 100 different people or anything, just a few different people that I just knew. I knew they would be okay with me asking, and I knew I would be okay with their response. I don't need people to keep the stuff they gave me either. So really looking, kind of going back to what I was talking about before, really looking at, you know, the emotional stuff that you're hanging on to. Are you willing to pay to store that? Because our bodies will, I shouldn't say our bodies. I know for me, my body will hold on to stress. And so if I'm willing to let that stuff go in whatever way. So sometimes it's really looking at the situation and getting present with it and being honest with myself about maybe what actually went on, not the story that I've told myself. Even the other day, we had applied for a house sit. So the way that the house sitting works is you actually apply. So people put their listing on the site and then people apply. We'll put the link to the site above or below if you want to check it out. And so when we apply, then usually there's a conversation and then usually there's a Zoom chat just to get to know each other a little bit on Zoom, and then they make their choice. And every once in a while, this is actually the only second time this has ever occurred, the person, and they did actually ask a question. So there was a very short conversation. They just asked one question. And then we just got an email saying, you know, you've been declined. And I started doing the real, like, taking it personal thing. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, we didn't get chose doesn't mean anything except we didn't get chose. Now, I'll be honest, I really, really wanted that sit, mostly because it had a beautiful swimming pool, of course, and all the things. And it wasn't personal. And it was interesting because a couple of days before I'd been listening to a podcast and the person was talking about in their business, they'd started receiving some hate and such. And what the person said was, I have the emotional intelligence not to take it personal. And that really, like, I remember I was driving and I looked over, like I stared at my radio, like, what? Emotional intelligence? I'd never considered that before. So when I was taking it personal, I'm like, is this where I'd like to be? Like, is this my level of emotional intelligence? I was like, no, and it's not personal. And so I could have held on to that. I could have stored that. I could have paid to store that sort of stress in my body and in my being and in my living, everything, instead of going, wow, okay, they didn't choose us. I wonder what else is out there that is going to be even yummier. Like, I wonder what else is possible that I've never even considered, which is one of my favorite questions to ask, because it goes beyond what I've actually considered. Imagine that. What else is possible that I've never even considered? And then started putting my creative energy into creating that, rather than this space of, oh, what did we do wrong? And I shouldn't have said this. And I should, like, oh my gosh, that's a very, very expensive way to store things. So anyway, I just wanted to share this because I think it's just really cool to consider that we're paying to store everything that isn't yummy and expansive and contributing to us in a way that really generates our life and our living, we're paying to store that, whether it's physical stuff or mental or emotional stuff. And I just wonder what it would be like to stop. Wonder what it would be like to cancel those, storage fees and do whatever. Again, I'm not saying we can just go, oh, okay, well, we had a fight, it's over, I'm fine. I don't mean we'd be a doormat. I don't mean we just, take it. I just wonder if there's ways that we can let go of things and we can shift things. And it might be, again, like I said earlier, it might be about apologizing. It might be some action on our part. There's lots of different things with it. And I just truly, truly wonder if we allowed that to shift, if we were emotionally intelligent. Now, I mean, I say that with a smile because I don't even honestly know really what that means, but there was an energy to it when he said it that really made me look at the amount of times where I hadn't been willing to look at, say, taking it personal as being a choice. And that's really what that invited me to, is like, I can choose to be the person who takes it personal and pays to store all that insanity, or I could be the person who chooses to recognize that there's always something better, even when it doesn't turn out the way we would like it to, there's always something better. So have a great week, sweet friends. I look forward to chatting again next week.